RawStory.com, RingOfFireRadio.com, and WeGotEd.com bring you this production every day. Good to have you with us here on this beautiful Wednesday in the North Country. What's going to be the soft underbelly here of the Clinton campaign? What do they have to shore up? And you can only wonder if this turning over of the email server is something that's going to get a lot of pickup or a lot of conversation. I don't have a pulse for that. I don't think that moves the country forward. Even if Hillary Clinton did something wrong, I don't think that would affect her as being the president of the United States. It's the issues. It's the straight talk and knowing exactly where a candidate's going to go that I think is clearly the issue here, and why Sanders is surging and why Hillary Clinton is somewhat on a slippery slope. Now, back on March 10th, Hillary said this. I know you know the news that the email server is being turned over. This is something that she didn't want to do early on, but now she's making the move on it. This is what she said on March 10th.
I have no doubt that we've done exactly what we should have done. I think that we have more than met the request from the State Department. The server contains personal communications from my husband and me, and I believe I have met all of my responsibilities, and the server will remain private.
That played well then, but now that we've gone into the next chapter of this story where the server's being turned over, it's becoming exactly what a lot of Clinton supporters said it was going to be: tremendous fodder for anybody who's running against her. Listen to Donald Trump.
Now you add the email scandal, because to me the email scandal is, hey, General Petraeus, for doing a tiny fraction of what she did, his life is destroyed. He's been ruined. I think he's committed a crime. The problem that let's say everybody has in terms of finding out, you have Democrats are all the prosecutors, and they don't want to prosecute it. Did she commit a crime? Yes. Will they prosecute it? Perhaps no.
Let's sort this all out with great journalist Jonathan Alter, MSNBC political analyst, columnist for the Daily Beast, and author of The Center Holds Obama and His Enemies. Jonathan, good to have you with us.
Great to be here, Ed.
Unpack it for us. What's the upside? What's the downside? What's irrelevant? Where are the issues on this story?
Well, I mean, there's no upside for Hillary. It's just a question of whether the downside is significant or not. And I think the real downside is the drip, drip, drip quality of this, and that once any story gets enmeshed in investigative machinery, right, and has legs as a story, then it becomes like a festering wound. The question is how big the wound is. Right now, it's not that big. But, let's say that the authorities are able to recover some of the destroyed emails, which sometimes the tech people can do, and then they find certain things on those emails, and they leak, because things leak in investigations. Then you have a whole series of stories about what's in those emails. And, is it as bad as something that General Petraeus was talking about? I mean, I think that was typical Trump irresponsibility, because in Petraeus' case it was, some pretty clearly classified material. He was he was giving information to a girlfriend that he had no business sharing. We don't know that about Hillary Clinton, but this story allows people to jump to conclusions. It allows them to have, as you say, fodder that they wouldn't have otherwise. Is it fatal to her campaign? Absolutely not. And people tend to have a way of projecting forward from the way things look now. She has survived a lot worse than this. She is a very resilient campaigner, but she also is not running a very good campaign so far. It feels tactical, calculating.
Now, you're the first person I've heard say that. You're the first person that and first of all, you were the first journalist that I heard admit that Bernie Sanders has a pathway to the nomination. Now you're the first journalist that I've heard say what you just said, that she's not running a very good campaign, That's a declarative statement. Take us down that road.
Okay, so first of all, let me just be clear about Bernie Sanders. His chances of winning the Democratic nomination are very small, despite all these big crowds. I just have covered politics long enough that I, never say never. I mean, I saw George McGovern take over when I was a kid, take over the Democratic Party against a very entrenched front-runner, Edmund Muskie, and, McGovern was seen as way too left, and he ended up winning that Democratic nomination in 1972. So stranger things have happened than for Bernie Sanders to build an organization and, figure out how to be David to Hillary's Goliath. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think people should assume that there's any kind of a, good chance it's going to happen. But right now, as you've been indicating, and you've been very much on this story while other people have not, Sanders is just killing it out there. He's getting these huge crowds, and the crowds don't necessarily translate into votes in big primary states, but in caucus states in particular, they really can translate into enthusiasm, which if it's sustained into the beginning of next year, I think will lead Bernie Sanders to win at least some caucuses.
Yeah.
So he goes into that convention, and he gets a primetime speaking role, and he continues to press Hillary to the left. And notice he's not attacking Hillary Clinton.
No, not at all.
And, I think he understands that he's in this mostly to raise issues and to make the Democratic Party recognize that these economic issues should be at the center of the argument.
But he believes that he can win this. He believes that they're still early in the process of a 3.5-month-old campaign, and that all signs are pointing in the right direction.
Well, I think that he's right to think that because of the response that he's getting. And, so he's not just running as a symbolic candidate, although anybody who runs is going to say that they're going to win. I think at his heart he probably knows that he could get worn down. But, look, the scandal could also get worse. I mean, to call it a scandal is maybe right. But the story, we don't know what's in some of those emails, and if they come out, they could wound Hillary more than they have so far.
Okay, where is Hillary faltering? Where is she not running a good campaign, as you stated?
So, I think maybe, I don't mean to back off what I just said, but I was maybe too categorical. I mean, I've attended a very good speech she gave on the economy. She gave a good speech on education the other day. So she's laying out a pretty substantive agenda, and I think it's an agenda that progressives can respect once they get to know it better. But there's a kind of a mechanical, calculating quality. I mean, just like take the big rallies, for instance. Like it feels like she doesn't want to subject herself to those kinds of events, and so they're not, they're not even trying to have huge events like that because they know they'll fall short to Bernie Sanders' crowd. So she just feels like she's playing the angles. It's like a little company against a big Fortune 500 company. The little company is going to be more nimble and is going to be in some ways more appealing, than the big company. So she's kind of running as General Electric, and that doesn't work.
Well, why is she so isolative towards the media? Access is horrible.
I think it's a big mistake. I mean, she does not trust the press, and
anybody should trust anybody.
She hasn't since she first, went to the White House as First Lady, and she got hammered in many ways very, very unfairly by the media. And so since then, she has been very, very stingy with the access. And, when you don't trust somebody or something, it's reciprocated. So if she doesn't trust the press at all, even to have a brief conversation with and give interviews, then they're not going to trust her, and then it just feeds on itself. So she really would do well to be much more like John McCain in 2000, and just let the press come in and talk to her. Will she commit some gaffes? Yes, but it won't really matter. She's going to commit some gaffes anyway, and just let them ride on her bus with her. Let them talk to her. Cycle them through. The president gives more access to reporters than she does. That's crazy.
It is.
He's bringing in all these reporters to talk to about the Iran deal, and even though people think that he's insulated, he's actually for 6 years he has regularly had pundits and other press people in small groups. She doesn't really do that, and I think it's a big mistake.
Jonathan Alter, always great to work with you. Great to have you on the program. Thanks so much. We'll do it again. You bet. Jonathan Alter, MSNBC political analyst, columnist for the Daily Beast, and author of The Center Holds Obama and His Enemies. Now this.